All right. So, welcome to the demo plan for reInvent 2023. So, I'm going to go through a little guide on the demos that we have available and how to demo at AWS reInvent 2023. So, just to get started, my name's Fern. I work in GitLab developer relations and I assist in providing content for these events, corporate marketing, field marketing events. And I'm going to showcase what we have available for y'all to demo and how the demos will take place. So the first thing is within GitLab Learn Labs, there is the live demo events groups. And what this group is a group that's going to contain all these demo environments, and they can be leveraged throughout various events, not just reInvent, but for this video's sake, it's going to be primarily for reInvent. And there may be changes that we make to this process. We're talking about looking into deploying self-managed clusters with separate accounts on there, or using GitLab.com with certain demo user accounts. So we'll have the finalized process nailed out and flushed out more as future events continue to come up. But for now, this is what we have for reInvent. And what this group has are these three projects. There's Simple Notes, which this is just a security policy project which applies to Simple Notes. And then there's the Tanuki Racing that was provided from demo system from Logan's team. And I'll go into details on each one. But essentially, what's going to happen is you're going to see that each of the laptops for the demo systems, there's going to be 3 laptops, and each of those laptops is going to be logged in by these 3 users. So there's going to be 3 Tanuki boys that are going to be logged in already to these computers. And what we're going to see from here is that way, if for any reason a laptop is stolen or someone, starts using it that's not a GitLab member, they won't have access to any proprietary GitLab data. They'll only be able to access this particular group in this particular environment, but they're not tied to any safe data whatsoever. So that's one reason for having these 3 different users. And they're going to be owners on this group. So the laptops will be logged in, so you can just show things without needing to actually log in with your own personal account and log out and log someone else in. So that doing that takes away from the timing of the demos and being ready quickly. And it also takes away from security, because it's not really too secure to implement that your own account. So the first project we have is Simple Notes. And you may have seen this one before. This was taken from our developer relations team project that was simply Simple Notes, and this has been used for a lot of different demos. You may recognize it, you may have used it before, but if you haven't, I'm going to go ahead and dive into what's available within this demo environment. So the first thing is there is a .gitlab CI YAML, and if there's a customer that's new to GitLab and they've never used GitLab before, and they just want to learn how GitLab works, essentially, the first thing I would start by is how easy it is to build a pipeline within GitLab. So you can go over the pipeline here, and you can provide some tips on the syntax, on how easy it is to add security scanners by just providing a template. Same thing for code quality, etc. So a lot of scanners can be implemented via templates, and you can even build your own application or scanner or anything, templatize it, and just import it very easily into GitLab. So we preach GitLab extensibility. And then we can show building an application that's containerized. We can show how we have a built-in container registry. So there's already a built-in container registry. Let me just check something real quick. Okay. So after showing that we have our own container registry and we can push to our container registry, we can also show unit tests are easy to execute. you can run anything you want as bash scripts. You can install dependencies beforehand. Here's us running the unit tests. We have pages for documentation. We can deploy to a Kubernetes cluster. And then separate functions. You can set the different scanners that we provide are customizable. So you can go from there. And then what I like to do is actually show them what this file actually creates. So then you can show them the pipeline of GitLab, going through all the various steps until deployment and then DAST. So that's the first thing that you can show. And while showing that, you can also talk about the introduction to GitLab being that it's the complete development lifecycle in one platform, in the DevSecOps platform. So you can see here all the different things that you can do. And it's always good to go to the GitLab maturity page if you want to know all the features that GitLab has, or you just want to mention it at a high level. You can just go through these categories and show what GitLab does end to end and all the features that it has available. And if I go back, within code, there's a merge request. And in this merge request, you can see that we have one for testing our security scanners. And this is another cool thing that we can show off, that shows like how we can assign people, we can assign reviewers, add labels. You can show like how we have a log of the commits, the pipelines that were run. And we can also see the code, and we can review the code in line. So I can click on this and add little reviews and pop-ups. And I can go from there. And also I like to highlight this part here requires 2 approvals. And this is very powerful. It's part of GitLab governance and our approval system where we can actually block code from being merged if there's vulnerabilities detected or if there's restrictive licenses. We can also do code owners and a couple other things, which you can see here. Now, code owners hasn't been implemented, but blocking restrictive licenses and vulnerable code is there. So what that means is if we detect any vulnerabilities, these 2 people need to approve. So let's say they're members of the security team. If we detect any restrictive licenses, then these other 2 people must approve. And let's say they're part of the compliance team or part of legal. And then we see the same thing for licenses. If we find any licenses that are not the MIT license, then we're going to block this from being merged if there's no approval. And you can configure the licenses how you want. You can say any license except MIT, any license except Apache. You can say if I detect only these licenses, etc. So it's fully customizable. Same thing with the security scan. You can say, oh, I want it to only if it detects SAST vulnerabilities, or only if it detects SAST and DAST, or multiple, and you can set the number of how many approvals you want. And you can see all these different things that have been added here. So all of these are all the vulnerabilities that we found within the system. And a good one to point out would always be either a DAST or a dependency scanning, just because the information that they output. So you can see here that there's a solution. It highlights what package is vulnerable. It provides links to the file, and it gives a description of the vulnerability and links to CVEs and ways that we can learn more about it. And DAST is also good because you can see that it sends the request, shows the actual response that's obtained by that request. So it gives you deeper information since it actually makes REST calls to the application in an attempt to break it. So you can show all that. You can show it's merged, that there's policy violations, and you can learn more about security and compliance here. So yeah, so that's something really cool that I always like to point out. And then another thing that we can highlight is when the application is actually deployed, we can see it actually deployed and running. So if I go here, you can see that the pipeline went through everything and it ran DAST on something that was deployed to a separate environment, a staging environment. And if I click on here, I can actually see it live, so I can see the live application that was just built right now, and I can add notes and should work. Yeah, perfect. So you can even go through the final deployed application, and you can see that these browserker and all these items were added because of DAST, and you can just explain that. So those are some really cool things to highlight. If there's probably going to be an ask about showing AI features and how AI works and integrates with GitLab, since that's part of GitLab Duo. That's pretty big. So I actually created this issue with AI, and you can see that the description was generated using AI. So you can point that issues can be generated with AI. And in order to do that, you can just create a new issue. And then you see this little guy right here. You click on him and you can say generate issue descriptions based on a short prompt. And see, this is what I had typed in before. What GitLab feature should be demoed at AWS reInvent. And here I can just say figure out how to refactor a large amount of unit tests. Let's say submit it, and then you can wait. I mean, I probably wouldn't go through this every single time and have the AI generate it. I just kind of show what the AI has generated and how that works, unless they're really interested, and we can do it. It's just because the internet connectivity may be really slow, so there may be timeouts. But you can see I said that, and yeah, pretty much generate an issue is pretty accurate to what I would expect. So tests may need to be split across multiple files or classes. Yeah. So this is exactly what I want this issue to entail. And then I would add deeper descriptions based on the actual code. So that's pretty cool to see. Same thing with this. You can see that there's a discussion here that we're having. You can also summarize that discussion by clicking view summary, and it'll go ahead and generate a summary on this. This usually should be able to do pretty quickly, but like I said, I'll give you some of the main topics of discussion are CI/CD, ease of use and security. AI enhances productivity in all parts of SDLC. The attendees will be able to see demos creating CI/CD pipelines. That they'll be asked if they're interested in anything else. So it kind of gives you a high level overview of everything that's said in the comments. So if there are, usually this is more useful if there's hundreds of comments, let's say, or a lot of unmanageable comments. So then I would view the summary, and then I would learn what this issue is about, rather than having to go one by one and read every single issue. I think the same thing could be done in the merge requests. If there are a bunch of comments in the merge requests, if there were several comments, then I would be able to do the same. I'll try to implement that. Oh no, here you go, actually. So the summaries are already generated, and you can see here that the changes include adding a new route to the API that is vulnerable to injection, which is true, as well as the route that gets the current directory and one that gets credentials from the user. Yes, so we added a bunch of vulnerable code, which this is telling us exactly how the code is vulnerable. So this is actually pretty cool. And add all the changes. So went from there. So that's really cool. So those are some of the AI features that you can highlight. If you need to learn more about the AI and you want to explain every single thing, I would suggest going to the GitLab Duo page. And then you can just point out, okay, so we're in all parts of the software development lifecycle. And then you can go through these different items. So you can go through, how GitLab Dual Chat works, which we've recently just updated this release. So we can talk about GitLab Dual Chat, which I'll just get into. And you can also show off the other capabilities. So big one being code suggestions. So, and I'll get into that. And I'll also get into explain this vulnerability. But these are the main things you should talk about unless a user is really interested in a particular feature. So you can pretty much go here, show this. You can show the quick ones while you're going through the workflow of how GitLab works, like showing the stuff in the issues, showing the stuff here, the AI generated summary, and then you explain all this to them, and then you tell them we also have code suggestions, which writes code as suggests code as you're typing and figures out what the next thing you're gonna want to write is. And at the same time, you can see these other things like explaining code and explaining everything just to make you a lot more productive. So there's all that, and you can figure out what you want to demo, gauge what the audience needs. But the next thing you can show is within the actual code itself. So if we go to the repository, you can also explain code. So if I go to run.py, I can go here, and if I highlight it, there's a little question mark that pops up. And with that question mark, you can see a code explanation. So here we go, GitLab Duo finds an explanation for this code. So you can see what it does, and debugging is disabled, the host import, and it tells you exactly what this does. So that's really cool. So you can always show that code explanation part. That's very useful for a lot of developers. Where else? What else did I want to show? Oh, okay. In the vulnerability report, you can look for a vulnerability. One that I like to show is the SQL injection. So you can go to Medium and you can go to SAST, and you can see a SQL injection vulnerability here that was detected. And you can talk about how the security team has access to this, and they can triage vulnerabilities, and they can collaborate with each other, create issues straight here, and assign developers to the vulnerability. But also they can send the prompt to our AI model and to explain this vulnerability. And we'll just wait a second. And what this is going to do is it's going to highlight what code is vulnerable, show an example of how to actually attack this, and show the fixed code. Sometimes it'll have better results with more description and more details on this. So it just kind of depends on what it's using in the back end to generate that. So just take caution before explaining anything. Make sure you click on it and go over it and explain the value of how this can be used, along with these insights that are provided in order to allow you to remediate this very quickly, as well as exploit it and learn more about it to make you a better security engineer, better security focused developer. So there's those. You can also touch upon the GitLab chat, which is going to be here. So if you go to help, you can go to GitLab Dual Chat, and you can see lots of information on GitLab itself. And if you go to GitLab Dual Chat and you want to learn how this works, you can just go to the documentation. And here you can talk more about it. You can learn more about dual chat. I think this is the contribute part. And let me go to the dual chat documentation. So this is what you can do. Ask about GitLab, ask about your work, which is like issue, your code. So you can use chat to interface with these particular parts of GitLab, and you can ask it about code. You can ask it about CI/CD. You can ask it about create a CI YAML, building a Ruby on Rails application. Okay, so let's just copy this. Let's go back to, and someone needs to fix this undefined right here, by the way. All right, and then we go to go back here, and let's paste this question or this statement, and let's see what happens. And this may not be the best thing to show just because it's taking so long. So And again, it may be my internet or maybe just something going on with the back end. But right now, okay, we see it's coming up. So it's generating a templated GitLab CI YAML. Wow, and it even made it code. So we can see it really nicely here, and I can copy and paste this to make a very basic job for building a Rails application. This looks actually pretty valid. This looks really nice. So I would suggest yeah, trying this one out. Just probably tip would be have this ready already in a tab, and maybe we can just have that ready already to go on different tabs within the demo system laptops, and then that way you can just point and show that this was already generated. That way we don't run into waiting too long, internet connectivity problems, etc. So those are the main AI features I would probably go over. Most people by this point know what code suggestions is, but if they want to see it deeper, you can always explain it. But if you really want to show it off and kind of go from there, you can say that it links with VS Code, which is usually how most developers will use it, and some other IDEs. So just find that out from, if we go to code suggestions, you can see what IDEs it works with. So let's go down. So you can see VS Code, Visual Studio, JetBrains, and NeoVim. So you can see that, and you can see it works with all those. But if you want to show it off, the best thing would be using the web IDE and going from there. All right. And also within the live event demo groups, there's also the Tanuki Racing project. And this, I have not used it before, but I know a lot of SAs I know a lot of SAs have likely used this before or been part of this with demo systems. I got this thanks to Logan Stucker, and he was able to provide this demo environment for us to use as well. And I really don't know how to use this, or I haven't been able to wrap my head around it, but it is available for y'all to leverage if you need to. Just if you already know about it, but simple notes I think should be good enough to show every single end-to-end flow that a customer may want. But if you have experience with this, there's different branches that have different parts of the project, and there are courses that you can go through, and there are sandboxes and different scripts. So there's like let's see, workshops, basics, deploying through CI/CD, creating an issue, doing these things. And I think the final result is probably on a branch or something. But for this, if you are interested in using this, I talk more to Logan, and I'll find out more information by then and relay that to you. And I'll work with Logan to see if we can make this easier. But for now, it's available if you know how to use it. Great. If not, you have the simple notes application ready for you. So, and yeah, that's all I have for today for the demo plan, and I'm excited to see all of y'all. I'll be there Sunday night, so I look forward to meeting with y'all on Monday, and I'll be there to address any questions that y'all have. But this should be good, and no worries about logging in. I'm going to give Kim all the login information and passwords. All the accounts will be logged in and ready to go by the date that we're there. I can also log another user in and create another user to use for the lightning talk, just in case these applications have what you need to present on. It'll be great. If not, you can use your own laptop and bring your own laptop and go from there. But it's whatever you feel most comfortable with. But these are the demos that are available for everyone with easy access and easy to use, which should cover most of the use cases proposed by customers. But yeah, thank you, and I really appreciate it.